That's why it's called Let Her Rip, because we don't have the time to make anything but the honest truth, and the terrible parts come out first.
That's
Dana,
it.
what's going on, man? How we doing?
Did you say something? Oh,
Yeah.
we're doing good, man. We're doing good. Sorry, I'm like, is this on? I don't know. Maybe I didn't plug everything in right.
Well, dude, I'm stoked, man. For all you guys watching, man, Dana's been a friend of mine, a brother for many years, and he is absolutely crushing it in the industry and in life. And I couldn't be more stoked to have him on as one of our guests, dude. So, Dana, with all of our guests, man, what we do is we just say, let it rip, man. And I just want you to tell the crowd, let it rip.
Let it rip. That's what we're doing.
There it is. That's a wrap.
That's the wrap. That's the podcast.
Yeah, that's it.
So Dana, dude, like, I've wanted to get you on for a minute, man. I've been following you. I've been watching you. We've been supporting each other in comments and DMs and storylines. And I couldn't be more proud of the man that you've become. We used to roam the streets together. You grew up in a time in the Inland Empire when tattooing was just popping. You were around a lot of great artists as you were coming up in the industry. And I'm just so stoked to see you kind of just take ownership, man. You've opened now, your second shop. You're rocking your fitness journey. You're rocking your businesses. So today, man, I just kind of want to hear your story, dude, and introduce you to Mikey. I've been talking about you nonstop to Mikey, man, so I'm honored, bro. So give us a little background, how you started and what you're all about.
First of all, hello, Mikey. I'm Dana. I've only ever done one thing like this, so I'm like a little bit stressed, to be honest with everybody. I know it's the let it rip, so it's about authenticity. So here we go. I'm gonna be authentic. I'm a little nervous getting on the internet, but I started tattooing. I don't even know how long ago, maybe like 13 years ago. And me and Marco did just open up that second location. It's in Orange, California, which is great. I opened Warhorse like 3 years ago, and I'm just hitting it, dude, as fast as I can, trying to like hit all my personal goals and keep it rolling, you know. Some people are blessed to have tons of clients that are awesome, like myself, and I'm very thankful to be busy every single day, you know. I forgot what else you asked me, Jake.
I definitely want to know. I'm going to jump in. So 13 years in the grand scheme of forever and lineage and legacy is a really good place to be, because a lot of people kind of break through that pink cloud of it's great. You know, there's a lot of stress, a lot of struggle, but you're in a position where, I mean, you're doing amazing fucking things, man. After Jake had talked to me and you and I kind of realized that we had mutual friends in parallel industries, your reputation not only kind of precedes itself from what Jake has said and what it is you're capable of accomplishing in an industry where everybody just assumes it's you do the thing, you hustle and grind, it's the one thing. But what you've got going on, and I believe the person that you're becoming, is going to open up crazy pathways. So what is your dream? Like you said, you went through the hardship, you went through the struggle, now you've got the great clients and you're doing a bunch more shit. What is your big dream?
You know, I'm stoked that you asked me that, because I had to ask myself that about 2 weeks ago. I think my dream was a little too small in the beginning, you know. I just wanted to make tats, and then after that I wanted to make really nice tattoos. And let's be real, when everybody picks up something new, you're not the best at it. But if you love it, you will find a way to figure it out and make sure you're great at that, right? So then now, I feel like I'm at the level where I'm giving everybody what they want. It's like, what else do I want? How far can I take it? You know what I mean? Yeah. And I guess my dream is I just want to crush every goal that pops into my mind. I know it sounds crazy, but it's like, okay, cool. We're like, how about a second spot? We're like, let's rip that, okay? Write it all down, boom, 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 start sniping all the goals, you know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, cool. Well, now I need like a little bit stronger merch, so I'm working on that. I just got a bunch of new hoodies and hats made up, and I'm about to drop those as soon as we get like a little bit better promo for that, you know? So I'm like, cool, I'm building Warhorse as a brand. We got a second location. We got a bunch of awesome people together. We got a bunch of clients that love us and support us 200%, which is what I worked super hard to get to. And I guess there's a couple more things that I don't want to talk about because I do believe that if you share all your ideas, it takes away the power from them, you know? So there's a couple more things I got in my dream, but as for right now, I feel like I'm pretty on track with what I originally wanted to crush, because I wrote something down 13 years ago when Marco first gave me the opportunity to learn how to tattoo, you know? Like, I've been doing it, I think this is my 12th professional year, and I did just under 2 years apprenticing before that. So whatever, you know, that's like almost 14, but let's just count 12. I found something in a journal back then, and I was like, damn, I surpassed all these. Like, it's time for new goals. And I'm sure you guys are aware of that. You know, you write it down, you snipe it off, and you're like, damn, that was actually a little bit more achievable than I thought it was.
Yeah.
And then here you are, like, stepping the bar up each time.
Yeah. And I love what you said about building your brand. And that's what we're all about, not only with the Force of Focus and the flagship and what I do at Winter Circle and what I do for a living is build personal brands. But when did it dawn on you that you were building a brand and you were no longer just a tattoo artist?
Maybe like a year and a half ago, bro. Like, it took a long time for me to figure that out. But I actually had somebody tell me that. They were like, you yourself are a brand. Like, people already know, like, Dana Tattoos, that's a brand, you know? But I want people to know Warhorse as a brand, you know? So I'm really focusing on that. I'm not dropping as much merch with my own personal thing. I'm dropping everything with Warhorse as the brand. And I've been very fortunate that I've sold out of everything each day I drop. Like, I'll drop, boom, 50 sweatshirts gone, boom, 50 hats gone, and then I'll rip a new one, because I believe in doing like small drops instead of the same design over and over and over. I'm trying to be like, this is a limited thing. If you want in on it, awesome. If you don't want in on this one, there's going to be something rad next time, you know?
Urgency always wins.
Yeah. Well, especially when you have that, like, that brand awareness, you know what I mean? When you spend a lot of time creating what you could consider like a client journey, you know what I mean? Where clients get attached to what the mission, what the message, and what the impact is. When you could really like strike a feeling in that person, then they become advocates for that brand. And that doesn't just work with businesses. That's like the one-to-one connection that tattoo artists get is so different than I think what most businesses understand, but it can be done in any field. I've always believed that if you can get really good at what you're talking about, you can literally apply that to any business and win twice as fast. Because tattooing is not the easiest thing to scale and to be able to maintain that kind of client reputation and like client trust because of the stigma that comes with it. So with where you're at, just everything you're saying right now is so one-off for what the industry's expectations are. So that's fucking cool to hear somebody say it unprovoked, because a lot of the time you have to be trained pretty heavily to understand those nuances to it.
Yeah.
Man, it definitely has came over time.
Go ahead, Dana.
Oh, it's a thing that's come over time, you know, and I wish I had somebody to teach me that side of it 10 years ago. That didn't come with what I learned in tattooing. You know, that came with trial and error. And unfortunately, I am the type of person, I learn off seeing other people's mistakes as well as my own mistakes. So I'm like, okay, don't do it like that, because these people are all drowning right now because they're not putting the time and effort into this area. You know what I mean? I actually hit up Jake maybe like a year ago, you know, and was like, hey, he's always been a big inspiration to me, and I see him leveling up every time, and I'm like, damn, like, I need a mentor like that to get on the gas, because he's already crushed some of the goals that I'm like still seeing as a little foggy. And then that makes me think like, all right, well, he's got the recipe, and like anything I've learned, anything on earth is possible if you have the recipe. Once you get it, boom, it's about attack, and then you got it.
All right, what's going on, guys? I wanted to cut in on this video really quick to extend the offer for you to come in and work with the Force of Focus in a much more community-based level. Now, all of the information that I provide here is extremely valuable and important for you to know about the industry that you're in, but being able to work in a room full of artists who are all not only applying the systems, but keeping each other accountable changes the entire trajectory of your success and of your scalability. So if this is something you're interested in, we're going to attach the link down below in the description description. Let us know if you have any questions. Obviously, like, comment, subscribe, but make sure that you are willing to roll the dice. You have to be able to get up and get out. You have to be able to play the game, not just ride the bench. And this is exactly where you can do that. It's not your run-of-the-mill program. This is community approach. This is how we work together and we navigate the sea of uncertainty in this creative career path. I cannot wait to see you in there with us.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, just from being a Mantis and set a goal as a garage band in Riverside, California, and getting to the stage of Ozfest and touring the world and doing what we loved as kids and just being maniacs, that set the tone of just anything is possible for me. And at that very moment, when people told me no, or you're dreaming too big, or I dropped out of college and my mom's like, oh, what are you doing? You're going to go sing in a heavy metal band? I go, fucking A, Mom. And a year later, I'm on MTV playing before Slayer and Black Sabbath. I mean, my mom was like, I'll shut my mouth, you know? And then to be able to sell out to House of Blues with my entire family there, I'm standing on stage, and at that very young age, I just looked and I was like, not as a conceited kid, but as like, if I can accomplish this, nothing's going to fucking stop me. Except unless alcohol stopped me from a lot of things. But I tell people so many times, like, to dream big and don't let that kid out of you, because me and Mikey always discuss this, man. When we're kids, we have these goals and these visions and these aspirations, and we think so big. And at some point in our life, we just stop. And it's like, why do people stop? And really, dude, another reason I wanted you on this podcast was watching your journey over the last year. You weren't just posting tattoo photos. It was like you on the bike, you in the gym, you talking and doing meth. And I'm like, Dana's getting it. You know, I never had to reach out to you and be like, hey, Dana, I do mentorship for tattoo artists, because I'm like, you figure it the fuck out. You figure it fuck out.
I seen you doing it, and I was like, I want what Jake has, like that. That is what I want for a goal, you know? And I seen you doing it, and like, this might sound rude, like giving out a little free game where you're like, all right, everybody. And I'm like, all right, he's like personable. He's happy. He's having a good time. You know, I was like, I'm naturally like that. So like, maybe I could hit up Jake, and then, you know, I could talk on the internet. Like, it's kind of scary, bro. Public speaking is like supposedly the number one, like, fear for the world. But I'm trying my best, you know, and I see you crushing it. So I'm like, yeah, I want that. Like, I want to be in there. I want to say what's up to all the homies on the internet. And like you said, the thing about alcohol, you know, we've all struggled with it at some point. I know you met me when I was really young, and probably watched me go off the rails like a lot of people did, and then try to like loop it all the way back around, you know?
Yeah, and it happens too. But you know, you nailed it, dude. And public speaking, even though I've played in front of thousands of people, I've been in many big rooms. Like, public speaking is hard. It's hard for anybody. It comes natural to some people, but even Zooms, dude. Like 3 years ago, I mean, you catch me running a Zoom with 100 people, and I'm just like, so branding is really cool, but it's just reps. It's being confident in yourself and just being that authentic. And the minute you try and bullshit or lie and talk about something you're not 100% sure of, you're going to fail. You're going to look like an asshole. But if you fumble speaking the truth and speaking from the heart, no one's going to talk shit. And if they do, go fuck them, dude. They're not in your circle.
Well, I think the one thing to that is, and Dana had said it, you got to know the recipe. So many people want a piece of the pie, so they'll fake it to get that wedge. But when you figure out the recipe, you don't need to worry about the pie that's already out there, the thing that you're obsessing about what everybody else has. You just ask for the recipe. You ask for what it is that's going to take to get you to that place, and you learn how to make that fucking pie yourself with what it is you want, because your dream and my dream are going to be vastly different, but the same rules apply to the intensity and the desire and the follow through that's required. Those ingredients are never going to change.
No.
You know what I mean? And having that accountability and knowing that you can rely on one another, even the two of you, like, having known each other for a while, just by seeing each other on social media, that is the profound benefit of it. It's not about like, I want what he's got. It's about how in the fuck did he do that? And then having the ability to reach out and just ask, you know, figure it out.
Yeah, man. And when I said I want what he's got, I meant like, I want to bust my ass to get to that level. That's what I meant. Yeah. Like, not just, you know, I know nothing's like passed out like that, but like, I would be down to take the necessary steps to get on that level, you know?
Sure. I understand that all too well, because I mean, the reason Jake and I work together is because there's elements to this dude that don't make fucking sense to me. But when you start to partner the same ways, like you saying, I want what he's got, it's not that there's envy. It's because you see that he's got a piece of the puzzle that you may be missing, and you can start to share in that. You know what I mean? Same with Jake and I working on Flagship. There's a lot of things this dude can do that my brain would fumble the fuck out of. But together we can put that entire puzzle together. No different than what's nice about this interaction right here. You know, you get enough of the right minds together, everybody's got their own zone of genius. You can make magic happen.
Well, yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
people don't see the shit pie recipes. They don't see the fumbles, the fuck ups, and I don't care to hide those from anyone too, because it's all part of my reps. And I've taken a lot of hits. I've taken beatdowns, addiction, bankruptcy, divorce, you name it, dude. Like, so when I speak to people, it's coming from pure experience and not bullshit. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the difference with today's mentorship or online coaching and these guys flashing the Lambos, and not to bring up the Lambos again, but it's just like they've been doing it for 2 years. They don't have a family, or they've never had bankruptcy because they've always had wealth in the family or come from wealth. Not everybody, but I've seen it a lot in this industry. You know what I mean? They've never fumble fucked their way out of something. They've never, really been in a tragic situation to where they were backed against a fucking wall and just had to throw as many punches as possible. So for me, I can personally say I have fucked up more times than, I can't even count at this time. And all that's developed into now what I'm able to preach and bring to the table, and why I'm just a fucking lunatic. I'm a maniac, and Mikey knows that. Nobody works like me.
Isn't that the recipe though? Like a lot of people.
That's what it takes, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
you have to go. You have to go the furthest. You have to take it to the furthest in order to win. I feel like that's what everybody needs to win, right? You got to take 100%. It the furthest.
And I mean, you see it a lot in the tattoo industry, where like a lot of people, when social media really became a valuable tool, a lot of people were front runners in that, and they got really lucky. They built that following to massive levels, but there wasn't a recipe to apply. Some of them they got in, they got forward moving, they maybe struck gold, but a lot of them are struggling now because they don't have a recipe to repeat. When you talk about the divorce, the bankruptcy, the alcoholism, the drug addiction, the ups, the downs, that's still a recipe to success. So if anything happens again, you already know the roadmap to take to get right back to where you were. A lot of people are like at the top stagnant and then just start this downward slalom with no way to get their footing because they don't know what they did to get to that place. And it kind of sucks. There's a lot of amazing artists who are struggling right now because they don't have the recipe.
Yeah. And Dana, like, I'm going to say it again, man, that's what's really cool about you now opening this second shop with Marco's, because you grew up in a time around a lot of great artists that I feel personally, not to take a stab at them, you have passed up, not only in your personal life, but in your business. I mean, you were around the Romans, the Whitneys, the Callies, the T's, the Little Chris's. I mean, it's an endless list of people in the IE that were so fucking talented. Not saying that they're not doing well now, but I feel personally, watching everybody, you've really come out of the shell and have just made a mark, dude. I mean, what's your take on that?
I guess it's hard for me to think about it like that because when I hopped in, everybody was minimum a decade older than me, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, I'm obviously like down here on the totem pole, and everybody you just named is a ripper, and they showed me a lot of love coming up back in the day, and I think I do have a little bit of success because I got to be around everybody you mentioned at such a young age. I got to see what it's like for Ink Magazine photo shoots, Ink Master offers, full sponsorships, this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? Like everything that a tattooer back then idolized and thought was the top, I got to like hop right in at that because I worked to get to where I was with Marco, and then boom, he introduced me to all them, right? And then I tried to get my work up and be like, okay, let me get my tats up so I can get offered a job there. And then I started working next to him, and then everybody showed me love and be like, hey, try this. And I'm a firm believer in like, I'm gonna try it your way, and if I don't like it, I'll go back to my way, right? Yep. So then just like climbing the hill a little bit at a time, I finally have a tiny bit of a following, I feel like, and a little bit of success because I've just been putting my foot on the gas for however long, and it feels kind of crazy to loop it back. Sorry, I got ADHD. To loop it back to what you asked, it feels crazy to me because I see those people still as up here, right? But they're congratulating me as if I'm over here. And it's kind of gnarly to be like, damn, the person that I idolize and look up to is giving me props and giving me love. That's wild, you know? So I guess it's a new feeling for me to experience. I wasn't really expecting it. I have a lot of people that I've looked up to tell me that I have passed up other people that we started with.
Yep.
And I guess I don't know how to feel yet. To answer that 100%, it feels a little uncomfortable, but obviously we grow being uncomfortable. So,
yeah, I agree, dude. But I mean, from an outside perspective, looking in and knowing everybody personally, and I'm not down talking any of them. They all are, like you said, they're all fucking rippers. I wish I could get a piece from every single one of them. It was my goal a few years ago is to do a Riverside Inland Empire tour and just get a piece from every single one of those dudes I named, because I still look up to those dudes. But outside looking in, man, I look at it as business and a perspective from a different view, dude. Like, I'm not in the tattoo industry. I grew up all around these artists and I lived in tattoo shops. But like, yeah, dude, like you said, from being the younger kid that I would just see wasted, we all were wasted too back then, to being Marco's intern, to now opening a shop with one of your original, apprenticeships, dude, that's got to be a tattoo artist dream come true. And if that's not a goal, I damn would think it should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think not a lot of people had an apprenticeship like I did. You know what I mean? Like, I think I go pretty easy on apprentices nowadays because I had it so wicked. Like, people can attest to that too. I'm not just blowing smoke. Like, everybody who was around me back then in like 2011, 2012 will be like, I was really grinding for it. I was doing the things. And because of your guys' success of being in that band, I had a bunch of different opportunities. We were rallying with a bunch of famous people all the damn time. It's like concert after whatever, tattoo all day, go to a concert, get let right in because you guys were already famous as hell, so everyone already knew who was what. We're on the stage, we're doing whatever. Yeah. And it was just like a tornado for maybe 5 years, and I stress it now to people. Yes, it was an experience. Yes, it was fun. Yes, it was hell, but I wouldn't change it, The only thing I would change is after that, I made the decision to keep partying, and I wish I cut it right off at that and took it more serious, you know what I mean? Because I do feel like I would be further in my art, in my career, if I didn't fuck off and be wasted for 5 years straight, you know what I mean? I feel like that did take a toll on me. Now looking back, I'm like, damn, I literally just partied a little bit too hard, and if I would have put my nose to the grindstone then, I'd probably be where I'm at now 5 years before,
And I say that all the time because, I was just a mess on stage, especially we came home from tour. We'd play that one show, and every single one of those shows, I would be fall down, face first. I wouldn't make it through the set. And I look back, I'm like, man, I really fucked that up. Like when we left our record label, it was just such a bad taste in my mouth, and I still to this day. But then I'm like, it didn't carve me into the man I am today. Those mistakes I carry with me as an honor, dude, as a badge. And I could sit back and go, I wish I treated it more as a business. I wish I networked more instead of partying at the bar. I was talking business and shaking hands, but it's like, that's not who I was then. That all developed all of us into who we are today.
Yeah.
And I take that with a grain of salt, and I take it so much more positive. 5, 6, 7 years ago when I was drinking heavy, I would have beat myself up so bad and gone, man, I fucked that up. And I did. But now I look back and I'm like, nah, shit could have shifted so many different ways. And the amount of people I'm able to help now, like we said, from those past mistakes, has developed me into this mentorship and this coach that people look up to and take serious now instead of being the sloppy drunk, So, yeah, dude, Mikey can attest to that.
Yeah, out of curiosity, I mean, with that kind of lineage, with that kind of backstory, do you think that set the tone for your productive chaos? Because I firmly believe that chaos in any counterculture career path is mandatory, but for me specifically, the same madness from the music and the drugs and the alcohol and the debauchery and the bullshit and all the late nights, late mornings, the hustle and the grinding, it set the tone for what I yearned for in life. I never lost my love for the madness. I just created a lot more of a directional path for it. There was more intent behind it. So do you think everything you said about your apprenticeship and getting to party with all these people and like really setting that tornado effect, it gave you the ability and the tools to be able to maintain so much now that most people would think is crazy?
Possibly. I do like how both you guys have a different look on it, because obviously I'm like, this is my experience, this is how I felt. You know, Jake just said like, you know, basically like you can't dwell on it, so thank you for that. Yep. And then you're asking me like, did that basically like propel you into this? I don't really know. The examples I had around me were more of like a live in the now, not think about later. And to be honest with you, I didn't think I was going to be 35 years old. Some people might find that kind of dark. I thought I would barely make it to 27. And then
that's the same exact age me and Clint used to shout out. We're not making it to 27. That Jim Morrison
straight
thing.
Up.
Yep.
27 club. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm not joining that. And then 30 popped off and I was like, damn, okay, I'm still here for a while. And then now I'm 35, you know, about to be 36. I actually just spoke with this woman who's what I consider an oracle. And we were talking about a lot of like spiritual things. And she's like, yeah, unfortunately, you're going to be here for a very long time. So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, then I better get some real goals and start chipping away at it if I'm not going to get killed anytime soon. You know what I mean? So anyways, maybe it did propel me into that. It definitely, what I did take from it was there was a lot of unlocked doors that I had the opportunity to open with great people that I would not have met if I didn't have Marco and Randy as my mentors. And as for the tattoo lineage, you know, Randy's in the Rick Walters family, so, and obviously Rick's daughter Kristen was in the mix with my mentorship too. So I'm in the family lineage with them, and that goes way back to the beginning of tattooing. You know what I mean, in America at least, and they're all very well respected. You know, like Randy, Kristen, Thomas, like everybody who's been in that tap family has done something awesome. And I'm very, very fortunate to be a part of that, even if I'm on the last leaf on the tree, you know what I mean? Yeah. But to answer your question, Mikey, I feel like, yes, now that you said that, I could look at it from a different aspect, and maybe it did propel me into this, because I thought when you're this close to something, it's hard to see, right? And then now that I scoot back and think about what you said to me, maybe it did propel me into that because I was just too close in the front to see the chaos, and then now I scoot back, dust is settled, and I'm like, damn, it was actually really awesome, you know?
Yeah. The way that I've always viewed it, and all I had to do was change where my obsession was, you know what I mean? Because I was obsessed with the party life. Now I'm just obsessed with living a valuable life. I always told myself, I'm not afraid of death. I've tested death enough to know that I'm invincible until life proves me otherwise. You know, but I know with sincerity that I'm not afraid of death, but I am afraid to have not truly lived. And even back then, we were living. You know, it was living on the edge. And I've never wanted to lose that element of things. You know, and that's what makes doing shit like this so fun. You know, I got so serious. When I sobered up and I got my head out of my ass, I became stern and aggressive, and I never wanted to look back. I almost blamed fun for all of my downfall, so I just started, like, pounding the ground. And I realized, man, like, I lost where my soul was and everything, because it kind of took some of the fun out of tattooing for a little bit for me, too. I blamed some of my tattoo career on why things got so dark. And I got to a point where it was like, what am I missing? The love for all things, because I used to love living then. It didn't mean that I had to risk my life doing it. I can create a better life by doing the same crazy shit, you know? And so that's kind of why I asked that question, is everybody has a different path. It's a lot of us had dark places, but that's where we saw the brightest fucking lights in life. And that's where I am right now. Light peering in through the trees and in the distance and over fucking head. And it's so cool to be able to like hear every different perspective coming from different places.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's wild too, because I read this thing once that said, it was like talking about how everybody who's had some type of addiction, right? So say whatever, alcohol, drugs, whatever you're into, as soon as you overcome that, right, it's almost like it's erased from your timeline completely, from your past and your future. And then watch the fuck out, because everybody who was a little bit down bad from their addiction no longer has that speed bump, and then it's full throttle into their goal, and they end up kicking everybody's ass at any type of competition, where it be business, sports, whatever you're doing. You know what I mean? Once the pedal's to the floor, it's like everybody gets mowed down by the person who everyone counted out from the beginning. They're like, oh, they're already addicted to this. They're not going to be in the running. And then boom, blow past them, because now all your focus is on that 200%, not just 50 or 100, you know?
It's just, it's because we're always addicts, but it's just a different substance we're chasing now. And like you mentioned, your ADHD, I've used that to my power now, because I self-diagnosed myself probably within this last year. I had to really sit back. It was probably before that. It was actually when I did cocaine, and cocaine started doing the opposite to me. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then I realized, I'm like, it's like my Ritalin. And then I was like, well, that's not fun anymore, especially without alcohol. So for me, that's where it was. I'm always just hyper-focused, this and this. And then as soon as I have like a caffeine drink, I'm just like, you know, Mikey has to see it every fucking day. So I'm like, I have ADHD. But it's like you said, dude, like when you don't rely on alcohol or know and chase down that week for that Friday night drink or that Saturday night party, it's like you put your mind to other things that you're really interested in. And for me, it's a lot of different things, and it's fucking definitely helped. That's for sure.
What's wild is, so the Force of Focus, it didn't start to work with tattoo artists at all. I was a creative with hyperactive, like super intense ADHD, and I was just coming through my addiction, and I wanted to use it as documentation through my process. I called it the Force of Focus because I made my ADHD a superpower. I could, instead of processing 1 million thoughts a day, I would just do 100 thoughts an hour. And I would shorten my time blocks. The minute I started feeling myself get distracted, I'd move into the next task immediately. So I called it the Force of Focus because of my ADHD and my overcoming my addiction. The tattooing aspect of things was just a natural byproduct because I had done it for so long.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and also because our brains do work a lot more rapidly than everybody else, there's this study with like quantum physics and how the human brain works, right? If you focus on something for longer than 17 seconds, it starts manifesting in your current reality. So it's hard for us to hold on to that because we're like, boom, 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 boom. We got 80 things cranking, you know what I mean? But I've learned if you slow down just a tiny bit, I am like a caffeine addict. If I don't have it, I'm going to start feeling all crazy, right? So like you said, with like the energy drink, it's like that's like standard procedure for us. But if you slow yourself down a little bit and hold on to that thought for 17 seconds, then it's going to be a tangible item in the next, like, I don't even know, couple days, couple weeks, couple months, you know, and you could make it a real thing. And that goes back to the recipe thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you ever dabble in the thought of life being a simulation?
I know 200% that this is a simulation.
Okay. And so the reason I ask is that's a rabbit hole I've dove down. Like I'm a dude of faith, and I firmly believe that this entire life is a simulation, just like any other video game. As you progress, the levels get harder, the challenges present themselves more frequently, so you yourself have to consistently level up despite the opposition of. And a lot of what you said, I mean, if you can stay focused, you can keep leveling up your first person, like your first shooter, then all of a sudden you can become like... And you can become a madman, you can become a psychopath, you can become like undeniable in so many different ways. And a lot of what you're saying is, and we had this conversation on a call the other night on the Force, like if you just look at life as that video game, you stay hyper focused on the mission at hand, you stay focused on that one thing for a long enough duration of time, you can blast through those levels. Where a lot of people in life, because it's a simulation, they patiently wait in their waiting room. They're so hyper fixated on what character they want to show up in the game as, they don't actually start busting through the levels and taking on the bosses and shit.
Yeah, that's fucking great.
That's exactly how it goes. A lot of people are here, though, to have a human experience, and a lot of people like to experience itself, right? So you can rip it two ways. You can do preferred experience. You can do not preferred experience, because we're not going to say good and bad, because that's not a thing in the human experience, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people will sit and dwell in the not preferred experience, which in my mind, 10 out of 10 times I want the preferred experience. I want to have the most fun and do the coolest things in this human meat suit. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to have a bad time for any longer than I need to. Nope. And like you said, some people will sit. It's almost like in like the loading phase. Like they'll be like, "Oh, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know. And then all this time passes by and the game's over, dude. And then you wake up from the amnesia. Boom, you're a soul ascending off. I don't know how crazy you guys want me to go with this, but basically, you go back. All right, you go back, you get recycled. Sometimes they try to blackmail you and be like, "Oh, you didn't do so hot right here with this person, so you should probably reincarnate again and do a little bit better to clear your karmic debt." You know what I mean? And the next thing you know, people are in a different part of the world trying to clear their karmic debt and do X, Y, Z. You know what I mean? I don't know how far you want to go with it, Mikey, but I could rip it with you for sure.
I love these conversations. We actually just implemented a faith and focus call in the Force community just because I like to have these. It's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all cookie-cutter approach to how we have these conversations, but a lot of it goes down that pathway where we can debate, we can argue, we can discuss scripture, we can discuss profound like epiphanies. We have a yoga instructor of mine that comes in and has these conversations with us as well for different perspectives. It's fucking cool, man. I love getting deep in the weird shit. We will get in the weeds about it. So was that always kind of a belief system you had, or did that become more of an approach that you took as you cleared your mind and started moving a lot more forward into the Dana that you are today?
I would say within the last like 4 years, I've really hit spirituality and riding the wave of taking everything that comes with me, right? I did like a crazy deep dive. I was raised Christian and I went to a private Christian school when I was younger. And a lot of people who don't have any faith at all, and this is my opinion, okay? So all you guys out there are about to fucking lose it on me. This is my opinion and my experience. Everybody who has never experienced something to grasp onto, we can just call it faith, you can call it a creator, you can call it whatever type of spiritual energy, right? They stop at the first door, which is whatever their religion tells them it is, okay? And this is, like I said, my opinion. If you go further, it goes way further down the hallway. You don't want to stop at the first door. I promise you. It's much, much deeper. Not a lot of people are ready to process or wake up and experience that. So they stay right there at the first door because it's comfortable for the rest of their life. But if you take the 11th door, then you're really riding it. And yeah, when it comes down to stuff like that, you know, a lot of people clash when it comes down to what their belief system really is, you know, but ultimately I didn't create the simulation, nor did any of y'all. So here's the thing, we don't know for sure, but there is something much more massive. But in my opinion, I decided to incarnate in this exact timeline that y'all are in right now because of the great catechism that's about to pop off, because we are in a massive frequency fight between, you can just say good and evil, right? And that's what's going on right now. The world is so scrambled, and Mother Earth has like been reprogrammed so many different times that this is the time where they need authenticity and pure souls to hold that vibration so we can get it back to baseline, which was love and light, you know what I mean? So 5D is what the Earth is in right now, right? Fifth dimension. Some people are still in 3D. They're going to fall off and they're not going to make it. It's literally like a time run out simulation. You either raise your consciousness, you get to 5D, or you get clipped. And that's okay. Not all souls are supposed to make it to 5D. But 5D is about authenticity. 4D, you know, 3D, people might say, oh, that's love and light. You got to have love and light all the time. Well, 5D is about authenticity. But there's only two frequencies we're operating on. We're operating on bliss, which is love, or you're operating on fear, which is the opposite. You know what I mean? So I have to ask myself all the time whenever I get a little nervous, like when I hopped on with y'all this morning or right now, I was like, why am I operating out of fear right now? I need to fucking settle down and operate out of bliss, and then I can be my authentic self around you guys, you know? But
this is going to be
a simulation.
This is going to be
let me ask you this real quick.
Okay.
I read this thing. Everybody, I'm sure all three of us right now, know how to draw what they called the Stussy S, okay? In grade school, you're ripping 3 bars, connect it, right?
Yep.
How does everybody know how to draw that, even if you're not artistic?
Repetition?
Pattern recognition.
I read that that's the symbol to the creator of this entire simulation. And it might not be a letter at all. It might be a frequency of how his logo showed up in everybody's programming, pre-programming, before you got this body.
Do you think, in a sense, it's partly in comparison to like numeric code, which has always been like the language of all?
Like binary code?
Yeah.
Possibly. I think everybody's...
No, it's almost like two sets of 3 ones just connected into pattern recognition of something that all people can psychologically remember to create like design. Like all things in nature are patterns and shapes and numbers. Like
the Fibonacci spiral is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Everything's based off that. It could be. I know like the code of the simulation is 00101110. So that's obviously like the standard baseline for how everything is created and operated. So yeah, you could be right on that. I've also been told that this planet was originally ruled by the god of Saturn. So that's why I was like hitting up the person who wrote it, and I was like, "Oh, is that an S for the god of Saturn? Is that why they rip it?" And they're like, "Oh, we don't know. We'll never know. Maybe it's just a frequency. Like, you know, if you put sand on a speaker, you can see like the geometric patterns. It could have been something like that. It could have been burnt into our psyche. But I did think it was wild that everybody born between 79 and 91 knows how to draw that damn thing. You know."
Yep. I want to circle this back into creatives, because the one thing that I've noticed, you may be able to attest to this, is most creatives use their art to a degree as an escape. They can go as far into, similar to what you described as the dimensions. Most people stop at 3, but if you keep opening up the doors, you can go to 4, 5, infinity with it. And a lot of artists have the capability of doing that solely with the products they produce, but they refuse to allow the same freedom and the same creativity to the way they live and the way they navigate their simulation or their level ups. Do you think that's something that you were able to tap into, was just live life equally as creatively as you create the art that you produce?
I feel like I slack off a lot and I don't produce as much free-flowing artwork as I should. I do feel like I was a lot more loose before I tattooed, and now a lot of my stuff is like very structured. So I don't think that really applies to me. I do know a few people who can just really express themselves on that, but fortunately for me, I am outspoken enough. I have other outlets. I do wish I made more time to express like that, but I use my other outlets, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think when being a creative becomes your profession, it's mandatory to have other outlets.
Yeah.
You know, when there's monetization attached to anything, it takes at least a small piece out of the creative flow, because now there's expectations from a consumer. So now you're kind of at the beck and call of those individuals. So the additional outlets are always necessary. I mean, my biggest thing that I do, Mod Podge skateboards, Dana, you know what I mean? Like, it's just the simplest little shit in the world, but it's the one thing I get to do that I don't want to sell. I just have fun with it. I've got like 50 sitting around that are ready for old Inquirer magazines to get Mod Podge, and I get them done in 45 minutes, and it's my freedom now.
Which I still haven't received one yet in my new office.
That's true.
Hell yeah.
Good shit, dude. So, I mean, obviously, Mikey and I work with a lot of tattoo artists, a lot of barbers. I work with tons of coaches. But for yourself and your personal brand, I'm going to ask the most cliche question, but like, what would you say to an up-and-coming apprentice or somebody that's just kind of stuck in their own way, that can't get out of their own mind, that keep holding on to that fear? Like, what would you say to them? I know that's a big question.
If they were to ask me what, dial in a little bit tighter for me.
Like, what would you tell? Did I fuck that up? What would you tell somebody that's just starting out, that's an apprentice, that's stuck in their own head? Like, what advice would you give to that individual if they're watching this?
I guess I'll look at it as like, if I could go back and like run a timeline back and tell my own self, I would say use that initial spark you got because that's why you're in this game, right? You got the initial spark. You're like, damn, I really want to tap. I really want to be into this. Use that initial spark and don't ever take your foot off the gas. Don't take it off for your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whoever. Don't take your foot off the gas for your family. Don't take your foot off the gas for anything. Like, you need to be selfish and put your foot to the floor the whole time, and you will blow past everybody, and you will hit all your goals, and you will be successful. But if you let someone tell you, like, oh, you've been working too hard, you deserve a day off. Like, no, you fucking don't deserve a day off because you haven't done shit. So at the end of the day, don't take your foot off the gas ever, and you'll have everything you've ever wanted.
Would that same advice go to people who have been at it and kind of feel the burnout? You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of artists that we work with also who have been at it for a while, and they just feel lost in all the madness because they took their foot off the gas, you know? So in the same context, do you think you would give the same advice, or would there be a shift there?
I honestly don't feel bad for them, bro. I've experienced burnout a couple times, but I also tattoo 7 days a week, 365. I'm not on this lame shit like, oh, it's Sunday, oh, it's Thanksgiving, oh, it's whatever fucking holiday your lame ass family wants to support. Like, I don't do that, bro. I think being an entrepreneur is 365, and unless you're ready for that, you shouldn't have even signed up for it. So all those dudes who are struggling and dropping off, like, fuck them. Like, honestly, because all of us who put our fucking time in and bust our ass are not. Yeah. So, sorry, dude. You were the dude back then that was, like, treating me like shit, and you're like, yeah, like, these up-and-comers. It's like, we blew past you guys because you did take your foot off the gas. So, for the new up-and-comers, keep your foot on the gas. You're going to blow right past me one day, you know what I mean? Like I did everybody else that took their foot off the gas, you know, as you guys know. And it's really hard to build the momentum back. I've been the type of person, I get a little lax. I'm like, oh, I took 2 days off. This is crazy. And then I got to, like, hammer it again to get back on it, you know? Yeah. But I really don't feel bad for those dudes who've been in the game as long as me that are struggling, because that means they did something wrong along the way and they didn't take advice from people who were doing something new and different. Because the biggest thing I hear, you probably already know this, both you guys, people bitch and complain about social media. Well, too bad. It is a tool that is absolutely necessary to take it to the next level. And if you don't put the time in and treat that as if it is part of the job as a whole, then you miss out. And now they're like, oh, well, now I'm ready for it. It's like, bro, the bus is gone. Like, the bus is so damn gone. Like, you can barely see the exhaust. Like, it's gone. You know?
Yeah. I couldn't have said it better, dude, because, I mean, I don't know how many times I've been at the family backyard parties or the pool parties or the river trips, and I've got my laptop and I'm working, and here comes one of my family members like, oh, you're working again? I'm like, yeah, because I'm not going to come back and be behind. I'm going to be ahead. So I said, and this type of job got me to where I'm able to go on these vacations for a week, 2 weeks at a time, and be able to, I'm grateful to be able to work from my laptop from anywhere in the goddamn world. And I worked hard to get to that spot. So the last thing I'm going to do is listen to my family member when they're like, you're on vacation. I'm like, no. I'm on a trip, but I'm doing work, you know?
Oh, a lot of people hate this approach, but so, like, I'm a new dad. My son's only 2.5. I had my first son at 36. And the best advice I was ever given was, don't feel bad that you don't get to be in his life all the time. Just make sure that you dedicate at least 2 hours a day to uninterrupted, undisturbed time with him. And that'll be more valuable time than any other father could ever give his children when they're distracted by why it is they aren't adding up to the father they were meant to be. And it was like, fuck me. That's not only profound, but it's intentional, because everything you do, whether you're a father or not, should be present in the moment and fully fucking intentional. But how many people dedicate their lives to half measures, soft dick energy, and barely being present, clocking in, clocking out, waiting for the bell to ring, whatever the case may be? You give those family members you were talking about 2 hours of undisturbed time. That's it.
Yeah.
And you're more intentional in those 2 hours than most people are all damn day long.
Yeah, I agree, dude. I agree. Hell yeah. Well, Dana, man, this has been fucking epic. I want to do this more often. I'd love to have you on some of the Force of Focus calls and maybe even jump into the community, dude, shine some light on the artists. And I'm sure we're going to be working together sooner than later, bro.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Thank you guys for both your time. I'm really excited to do something in the future with you guys. I'm open for it. So if you guys ever want to include me, or if you need something, just holler. I'm down.
Hell yeah. Where can people find you at? What's your Instagram handle?
My Instagram is just Dana Tattoos all together. No underscores, no anything. Just DANA Tattoos.
Hell yeah.
Don't make it hard on people.
No, we'll put a link. We'll put a link up for all of his tattoo shops, his personal Instagram, and also the links on the YouTube page. Man, brother, man, this is fucking awesome. Fucking can't wait till the next one.
Hell yeah, it was a pleasure.
I appreciate
man.
you guys, man.